Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a fun tag video because I haven't done one in ages. I think they're really fun and I recently saw this one on my friend Kelly's channel, which I will link down below. I will also link the creator's original video down below as well, so definitely go and check that out. So this tag excited me because I think rereading is such a fascinating thing. I don't know how you guys all feel, but I absolutely love rereading. I think it's such an amazing thing. It can give you so much from a reading experience that reading for a first time can't. It is something that I always want to do more of than I actually do. So I'm very excited by this tag. I think it'll be fun to share with you my thoughts and experiences with rereading and to hear about other people's relationships with rereading as well. I will be tagging some specific people later on in the video to do this tag if they would like, but for anyone who is watching, please do this tag if you're interested. If you don't have a booktube channel, then leave some answers to the questions down below in the comments. I would absolutely love to read them. So question one is, where do you sit on the rereading scale from almost never to all the time? So I probably sit closer to the almost never end, which makes me really sad. As I've already said, I love rereading. I wish I reread more, but currently I basically only reread my few favourite books. They are very dear to me and I can rely on them, and sometimes you just need that favourite book feeling. I do, however, wish that I also reread books that I thought were good, but I think I could get more out of them on a reread, and I feel like that quite often, to be honest. I'd also really like to reread some books that I wasn't sure about on a first go, but since then other people are reading them and discussing them, and I'd like to give them another try. But alas, there are so many amazing sounding books coming out all of the time. I'm very lucky in that I get sent a lot of these new books from publishers, and on top of this there is tons of backlist reading to do as well, and classics. As such, rereading doesn't happen all that often. Question two is, has this changed over your reading life? So I don't think so, really. I think I've basically always just reread my favourite books. Perhaps I reread slightly more when I was younger, like when I was a child, because the amount of books I was being exposed to was far less. But overall, let's say no. Question three is, when do you reread? Immediately after, years later, or when the mood strikes? So basically always it's when the mood strikes. I will find myself craving my favourite books and my favourite characters, and I will just feel like I need them then and there. This is typically quite spaced out. I don't tend to reread things within the same year very often at all. I don't think I have ever reread something immediately after finishing it. Perhaps with To Kill a Mockingbird once, which is my favourite book of all time, but apart from that, that isn't a thing. Unless we count reading poetry collections over again as rereading, I'm not really sure where that would fall. So obviously, like most people, I read poetry collections differently to the way in which I read novels. I read the collection through once as a whole. I reread different poems different amount of times, and then I typically go back and reread the whole collection 2 or 3 times to fully get the most out of it. But I don't think this really counts as rereading the collection. You're just still kind of in the same read of the collection, if you get me. Question 4 is, why do you reread books? So I've basically already answered this one. I pretty much exclusively reread books because they are my favourites and I love them and I want to experience them again. Rereading for me is primarily an enjoyment and comfort thing. Question 5 is, how do you reread? Slower, faster, or just the best bits? So I would never just reread the best bits. That does not compute in my mind. If I reread a book, I reread the whole book. Pace-wise, I'd say I probably reread basically at the same rate as I read the first time through. Perhaps a tiny bit quicker if I'm already very familiar with what's going on. And perhaps sometimes I also read certain sections a little bit slower because they are my favourite bits and I know what to expect. and I want to enjoy them. But overall, I'd just say about the same. Question 6 is who or what do you reread more specifically? So my favourite books that I have reread the most are To Kill a Mockingbird, my favourite book of all time. I've read that around 5 times, I think. Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, I've also reread that one 4 or 5 times. Then there's also the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I've listened to that on audiobook many times. Also Tin Man by Sarah Winman and Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Elias Sayens. I'm also actually currently rereading Howard's End by E.M. Forster for the first time, which is so much fun. Classics generally are a type of book that I really love to reread. Jane Austen in particular, of course, is such a great novelist to reread. I will be rereading her books many, many times over the course of my lifetime, I am sure. Question 7 is there a book you found to be better on a reread? This is tough because basically all of my favourite books I have reread have remained favourites, and so were kind of better on a reread. Most of the time they are actually better because I can see more in the book and appreciate more in it than I managed to spot the first time round. But even if this wasn't the case and both reading experiences were exactly the same quality-wise, I would still think the second time round was better because it's already a favourite in my head. Am I making any sense? Question 8 is and one that was worse. I don't think I've ever reread a book that I found to be worse on a reread. I've definitely reread books that I didn't like as much on a reread, so some of my favourites from when I was a child are not my favourites anymore. But I don't think that's really the book being worse and me finding something in it that I didn't the first time. It's more just my tastes changing. Question 9 is which one book have you reread the most times? That would be To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee for sure. And the final question, question 10, is tag someone. So I'm going to tag a few people to do this. If you would like to, absolutely no pressure. I'm going to tag M from A Little Writer M, Lily from Lily Eleanor Reads, Mary from Mary Amongst Pages, Eric from Eric Carl Anderson, and Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction. So that is going to be it for today's video. I really enjoyed filming this tag. As I said at the beginning of the video, please do let me know your answers to some of these questions down below in the comments. I'd be really, really interested to hear how often you reread and why you like to reread. Also tell me your most reread book ever. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye.